Moscow, 1980. Imagine the city not as a place to live, but as a laboratory for human control. The concrete is gray. The sky is gray. And the silence is the most dangerous thing of all. For any American in Moscow, the city was a glass dome. You weren't just being watched. You were being dissected. The KGB didn't play at espionage. They had the seventh directive. Their name was Stariki, the old ones. They were invisible, omnipresent, and they never, ever lost a trail. If you were a CIA officer at the Moscow station, your life was a script written by someone else. From the moment you opened your eyes in your apartment to the second you brushed your teeth at night, someone was watching. A black car following every turn, an ear pressed against the wall. To solve this, the CIA called in the OTS, the Office of Technical Service, the real-life Q. Their mission was simple on paper, but impossible in practice. Make a man disappear from a moving car without the car behind noticing. They didn't need invisibility technology. They didn't need futuristic cloakings. They needed a dummy. Thus was born the Jack in the Box. The JIB. It wasn't just an inflatable doll. It was a masterpiece of absurd engineering. The silhouette had to be perfect. The shoulder height, the angle of the head, the curve of the neck. Everything had to match the CIA officer's profile exactly. The dummy had to sway with the car's inertia. It had to look alive. And it had to be deployed in less than 2 seconds. The disguise was genius. The device was hidden inside something no one would question in a Soviet car, a birthday cake box. Imagine the scene. A CIA officer and his wife driving through Moscow. The air is freezing. The smell of gasoline and coal smoke fills the cabin. In the back seat, a birthday cake. Behind them, 2 black KGB Volgas. Agents with stone eyes, focused on the rear window. They are following the target. They are confident. They are sure. Then, they hit a sharp corner. A momentary blind spot. In that millisecond, the CIA officer doesn't open the door. He slides. He rolls out of the moving car, vanishing into the shadows of Moscow's gray concrete. At the exact moment of the jump, the wife presses a button. Hiss. Pop. A rubber torso, wearing the officer's coat and hat, shoots up. The dummy takes the passenger's place with surgical precision. To the KGB agents 50 meters away, nothing changed. The silhouette is still there. The target is still in the car. The bubble of control remained intact. Or so they thought. While the KGB blindly followed a piece of plastic, the real officer was walking toward a meeting that would change history. He was going to meet Adolf Tolkachev. Tolkachev was no bureaucrat. He was the brain behind the radars at the Phasotron Institute. He handed the CIA the holy grail of Soviet air defense, the look-down/shoot-down radar. For those not in the field, this was the USSR's $20 billion shield. It was the technology that allowed Soviet fighters to detect American bombers flying low. It was the only thing preventing the U.S. from entering the heart of the Kremlin unseen. Thanks to a rubber dummy and the courage of an engineer, the CIA managed to photograph thousands of pages of top-secret data. And when U.S. Air Force analysts read those documents, they panicked. They discovered that their entire electronic warfare package, which cost $70 million, was completely useless against Tolkachev's radars. They were blind. They were vulnerable. But now, they had the manual. They redesigned their systems. They adjusted their frequencies. They did all of this while the KGB continued to watch empty cars. This wasn't just a spying victory. It was a strategic humiliation. The scales of the Cold War tipped toward the American side because the KGB couldn't tell a man from a balloon. Let's look at the cold math of this incompetence. The Soviet Union spent about 15% of its GDP on the military-industrial complex. They had thousands of men, the the world's most trained minds in surveillance, dedicated to following a single car. The cost of this apparatus, over a decade, is incalculable. Billions of rubles thrown down the drain of paranoia. And the KGB, the rubber dummy? It cost a few $1,000s to develop. This is what we call asymmetric cunning. You don't need to spend more than your enemy. You just need to understand their psychology. The KGB was so arrogant, so convinced that their science of observation was infallible, that they stopped looking for the impossible. They became victims of their own efficiency. They trusted what they saw through the glass so much that they forgot that glass can lie. Eventually, the trick was discovered. The KGB was burned. The KGB finally realized they were chasing ghosts. Try to imagine the report that agent had to write to his superiors. We led the pursuit for 3 hours, only to discover we were guarding a toy. The result was an internal massacre. Department heads were purged. Careers were destroyed in a single afternoon. The shame climbed the ladder of power until it reached the Politburo. They had been turned into clowns by the CIA's toy box. The story of Adolf Tolkachev ends in tragedy. He was betrayed by a double agent within the CIA itself and executed in 1986. But the damage was already done. The radar secrets he passed, made possible by a rubber dummy, gave the United States air superiority for 3 decades. This serves as a brutal reminder. In the world of high-stakes strategy, the most powerful weapon is not a missile. It is not an atomic bomb. It is the ability to make your enemy look in the wrong direction. True power is invisible, and sometimes it wears a felt hat and is made of inflatable plastic. I am Classified Files, and this was the $1 Billion Dummy. Subscribe to access more classified files.